I was a gift for one monster, but I claimed both twins instead. Indulge makes me feel powerful. It helps me speak up and makes me very interesting to friends. Watch my summary and read it now.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're strapping in for an intense, protracted, and frankly, utterly consuming analysis of Luna Mason's Indulge, Beneath the Blaze.
Mm-hmm.
If you're here to understand how the dark romance genre really operates at its peak, where the moral lines are blurred until they just disappear, yet the emotional core remains unshakably centered, you are absolutely in the right place.
You really are.
This isn't just a book review. This is a masterclass in psychological tension and high-stakes mafia politics.
It truly is. Our source material is a standalone novel nestled in this, high-tension world of Irish Mafia romance.
Right.
And for those curious about the specifics, we're discussing an MFM dynamic that's Menage, female-male, which, immediately signals that this deep dive will be explicit, rated 18 plus on handles, and contains multiple very significant trigger warnings. Our core mission today is to really dissect the sophisticated mechanics of this specific subgenre. We need to go beyond just the surface-level plot points and truly excavate the character psychology, analyze the genuinely problematic yet compelling power dynamics, and understand the controversial narrative architecture that leads to a truly earned happily ever after, or HEA.
Okay, so let's unpack this crucial foundation first. We are dealing with a genre dark romance that operates on a foundational, it's almost a contractual promise to the reader, guaranteed emotional payoff.
Yes.
But the means used to achieve that love are violent, often coercive, and intensely dark. So what is the fundamental core distinction that keeps Indulge firmly in the dark romance category and separates it from, say, a straightforward, violent, erotic thriller? Because the violence here it's extreme.
That is the defining question, isn't it? And it's the barrier that separates the two fields. It boils down entirely to that non-negotiable promise.
Right.
The HEA or HFN, happily. Now that must be the ultimate destination.
Right.
The reader enters the book knowing, perhaps against all available evidence, that love is going to prevail. In Indulge, the conflict has to primarily center on the emotional connection and the protagonists overcoming their internal traumatic obstacles together to achieve this profound mutual love, even if that journey requires, morally ambiguous actions, kidnapping, or intense danger.
So if the violence or the criminal plot were the primary focus, it would tip into thriller territory.
Precisely. If Indulge were an erotic thriller, the primary tension would be the war against the preacher, the rival organization, or the stability of the mafia alliances, with the romance serving as maybe a secondary plot device to heighten the danger.
Okay, yeah.
Here, however, every dangerous action, every coercive tactic that Reggie employs, every single act of defiance that Bella hurls back at him ultimately serves to forge a deeper, albeit twisted and high-stakes emotional connection. That love, that desire for a future with Bella is the central priority, even when it costs the heroes absolutely everything.
That framing is so essential because it sets the moral expectation for the reader from the jump. And speaking of moral expectations, the sheer volume of content warnings here demands serious attention.
Absolutely.
The author's note is explicitly clear, warning readers to enter decadence at your own risk. We need to spend some substantial time here just mapping out the trauma landscape that Bella King and the Murphy twins, Reggie and Rowan, inhabit.
Absolutely. The necessity of these content warnings is paramount, not just as a courtesy to the reader, but as an intrinsic defining feature of this genre. In dark romance, the emotional stakes have to be high, and the emotional stakes are almost always rooted in deep, complex trauma.
So what are we looking at for Bella?
For Bella King, the foundation is it's incredibly intense and multi-layered. She witnessed her father's murder and heard her mother's screams when she was young. So that violent foundational trauma is then compounded by the more intimate, corrosive abuse she suffered later in life.
You mean with her ex-boyfriend?
Exactly. Her ex-boyfriend humiliated her by forcing her to share herself with his friends, both men and women.
And that second layer of trauma, the forced sharing and humiliation, is so critically important because it informs all her coping mechanisms and, ironically, her later path to healing within a consensual MFM dynamic.
It is the absolute key to her entire journey. Bella's immediate coping mechanisms are direct results of that history. We see her self-destructing, often drinking vodka straight from the bottle before confrontations, using alcohol to just numb her survival instincts
And the running.
and her automatic tendency to flee. She was a wall again when Reggie finally went to collect her. She equates intense pressure and male dominance with a cage, with danger, so her first instinct is always to escape the constraints.
Her famous defiance, the constant sarcasm, the button pushing, it's not just attitude then, it's a calculated psychological shield.
It is entirely a trauma response. It's a survival mechanism that she's honed over years of living on the edge of the mafia world and surviving that very personal humiliation. She knows if she appears vulnerable, she'll be broken. Her refusal to be controlled is her way of testing the environment. Will this environment allow me to survive? Is this cage different?
And the Murphy twins, they're not exactly unscathed. They carry their own scars, linking them inextricably from childhood.
Their foundation is, it's almost identical to a classic mafia tragedy. Their parents were murdered, which forced them to be taken in by the Quins at age 13.
So they were raised outside the family as outsiders?
Right. They were raised under this banner of duty, debt, and proving their worth because they are not blood. This shared, intense history is why their twin bond is so fiercely protected. It's the only family they really have left.
And then there's the more recent catalyst.
The more recent, massive catalyst. Rowan nearly dying after being shot, saving a loved one. Reggie saw his brother bleeding out, and he admitted his own blood ran cold. That event didn't just injure Rowan. It traumatized Reggie, reinforcing his belief that the world is chaos, and only absolute control and emotional freezing can guarantee survival.
It solidified Reggie's fortress. And speaking of boundary pushing, the structural elements of the book signal its intent immediately, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
The MFM dynamic isn't slowly introduced. It's a foundational part of the premise, signaled right in the author's note with that specific line about the little FF treat at the start.
That small detail is a very deliberate signal to the established dark romance reader. It's a wink. The inclusion of the FF female-female treat and the MFM structure establishes Bella's sexual fluidity and, more importantly, the psychological context of her sexuality.
Right, because her history.
Her history shows she felt safer and found genuine pleasure primarily with women after her ex humiliated her with men. This sets up the critical conflict that the Murphys have to overcome. For Bella to find healing and trust in a new shared dynamic, that dynamic must be completely inverted from her past experience. It has to go from humiliation and coercion to worship and consensual agency.
That brings us perfectly to the core psychology of our anti-heroes. Let's start with Reggie Murphy, the reserved, controlling twin, Mr. Frost, and the defensive Irishman. He's the classic dark romance anti-hero built on this external veneer of duty that's just concealing deep internal vulnerability.
Reggie is fascinating because his control is not malicious, not really.
Yep.
It's self-preservation.
100%.
His coldness is a meticulously learned defense mechanism forged by that childhood trauma and the demands of the mafia world. He rationalizes that emotional distance equals safety for himself and for the organization.
So Bella's just a job at first.
He views Bella initially as purely a functional asset, a business contract necessary to stabilize the critical Quinn alliance. And the pressure on him is immense. Declan and his brothers need this alliance to counter the preacher, and Reggie shoulders that burden, believing he has to keep Bella happy just enough to secure the deal.
And his D's tendencies are absolutely integral to this control mechanism.
Yeah.
He needs to be in charge because he believes chaos reigns otherwise.
Exactly. When he tells Bella, "Rule 1, princess, I'm in charge," and she uses "sir" in intimate moments, it establishes a necessary framework for him to operate in. This need for control, however, immediately clashes with Bella's defining characteristic, her defiance, the spoiled brat that hates authority.
Which, paradoxically, is what he's drawn to.
Yes, his attraction isn't despite her defiance, it's because of it. He is drawn to the challenge of taming that chaos, and he realizes she is perfect for him precisely because she fights back.
But the truly fascinating psychological crack, the one that drives the entire narrative, is his internal struggle with sharing Bella. The Murphys have these established ground rules, the Inferno Agreements for sharing women, yet Bella, she shatters this precedent.
This is where Reggie transitions from anti-hero to a true romantic lead. He has always operated under this strict code where sharing is transactional and emotionally neutral. It's business. No. But watching Bella with Rowan, he recognizes a shift. For the first time in my life, I'm not even sure I want to share at all. That's dangerous. That's unusual. That's her. His desire for Bella is so intense, so singular, that it threatens the established code he has lived by, the very Inferno Agreements that govern his partnership with his brother.
That unwanted feeling, that intense possessive jealousy, it's the definitive crack in the frozen fortress that proves his feelings are real, not just contractual.
It is vulnerability disguised as heightened possessiveness. He finds himself internally wrestling with that deeply revealing thought. Once I see another man touch her, I'll never unsee it. That's not a business contract talking.
Yeah.
That's a man experiencing profound emotional ownership for the very first time. And this culminates in his ultimate confession after the twins fight, where he realizes his initial attempts at dominance were rooted in this self-destructive fear.
He thinks, I'm not angry, but at myself for it not being me on my knees for you.
He realizes his control mechanisms drove her away, and his true desire is selfless love and devotion, which he finally delivers in the climax.
So if Reggie is the icy fortress, then Rowan Murphy is the emotional anchor, the contrast, the rock star. He immediately presents a softer, more vulnerable side that Bella she gravitates toward instantly.
Rowan is the emotional safety net, both for Bella and, honestly, often for Reggie himself. He is more openly vulnerable, he shares his trauma, he offers simple, genuine comfort. The near-death experience of being shot is a massive catalyst for this openness.
For sure.
Having stared down mortality, he views emotional risk as far less terrifying than physical death. He openly discusses his healing scar, joking, "Got a gnarly scar though, chicks love it." But that vulnerability is real. It makes him accessible.
And that accessibility is what builds the immediate deep connection with Bella, contrasting so sharply with Reggie's initial contractual approach. The seemingly small acts of service, like making her a caramel latte, they become monumental.
That is the turning point in the early relationship dynamics. Reggie refused to indulge her spoiled requests. Rowan fulfills them effortlessly, making her the caramel latte, making eggs. These acts appeal directly to Bella's desperate need to be seen as a human being worthy of care, not just a pawn in a power game.
It's the first time someone's just nice to her.
It is. When they first meet, the connection is immediate. He's the first to see her beyond the alliance. When they were later in the bookstore, Bella doesn't just flirt with him. She opens up about her trauma, and he responds with understanding, promising, "You can talk about it whenever you want with me, Bells. I'll always listen." He establishes himself as her emotional protector, forming a bond that transcends just physical desire.
But Rowan also struggles profoundly with this problem of shared identity. He's always been defined as half of a whole, a mirror of Reggie. He worries about her seeing him as distinct from his powerful, controlling twin.
The twin bond is fundamental, etched in blood and shared violence. He says, "We've done every job together since we joined the Quins at age 13. It's always been us. In everything." That deep reliance creates an existential insecurity for Rowan when Bella enters the picture. He admits to Reggie, "We will always have to prove ourselves, both to the Quins and now to Bella, who needs to see him as an individual." When he realizes he's caught genuine feelings, he sees it as this monumental transgression.
He says something like, he's never stolen from his brother.
Exactly. "I've never caught feelings for a woman before, and I've never stolen someone from my brother." He desperately wants Bella to see him, the man of taste who loves carbs and music, as a separate entity from Reggie's controlled, cold reflection.
Then there's Bella King, the wounded queen of carnage. The Murphys call her princess, but her brothers call her the menace and the wild one. She's certainly not a passive captive.
Bella is the archetype of the resilient dark protagonist. She is not the damsel in distress. She is the survivor who embraces the darkness of her environment. We see her capability for extreme violence. The famous lipstick blade she keeps concealed, carving the letter K onto a rival's forehead, or smashing a tray over an attacker's head during the bar fight. This is not just a reaction. It's an integrated ability to live and thrive in the Mafia world. She tells them, "I am Bella King," asserting that she is a doer, not a watcher. She is defined by her ability to inflict pain just as much as she endures it.
Okay, we absolutely need to dedicate an extended, critical tangent here to her trauma-informed sexuality. Given her history of being shared and humiliated by her ex, how does the relationship with the Murphys, which is also a shared dynamic, become a path to healing and reclaiming agency? This is the ethical tightrope walk the genre requires.
It is the single most critical psychological element of the entire novel. Her past makes the shared dynamic an immense risk, a potential trigger for re-traumatization. The Murphys successfully navigate this tightrope because they fundamentally change the narrative from coercion to unconditional acceptance and worship.
They don't ignore it.
They address her trauma directly. Reggie confronts her fears by stating the new reality. "To us, your pleasure is the center of everything we do. If anything, we're the ones there to be used by you."
So the power shift is absolute. She is no longer the victim being used by men. She is the central figure, the queen who demands fulfillment.
Exactly. The Murphys transform the act of sharing from a symbol of her humiliation into a form of worship and unconditional acceptance. The MFM dynamic only works because Bella is the one setting the emotional and physical rules.
The Eiffel Tower fantasy.
Her suggestion of the Eiffel Tower fantasy scene in Paris is a direct exercise of her agency, showing she is now defining the terms of the taboo. She is the one testing their boundaries, ensuring that they accept her chaos without trying to cage her.
And her strategy of constantly pushing every button, the no panties dance, the bar defiance, the verbal challenges, that is her trust test. She needs to know how far she can go before they break her, but they must respond with protection, not punishment.
It is absolute, calculated defiance rooted in a fear of abandonment and control. She tells Reggie outright, "I'm not some piece in your business game. I am Bella King, and you'll start treating me with some respect or I'm gone." She is challenging them, saying, "Prove to me that your desire for me is stronger than your need to control me."
Right.
She needs to confirm that when she plays with fire, as she explicitly tells Reggie, they will act as her protective anchor and won't let her burn completely.
Let's transition now into power dynamics, starting at the very beginning with the coercion context. The novel starts with Reggie literally kidnapping her after she runs away, dragging her back for an arranged marriage set up by her brother Theo. This initial premise is pure coercion.
The premise is intentionally starkly coercive. Bella is explicitly a pawn in an arranged marriage designed to secure a vital political alliance between the kings and the queens. Reggie arriving to physically drag her back represents the absolute patriarchal control of the mafia world.
But she doesn't just go along with it.
No. Bella immediately, physically and verbally, dismantles the simple captor-captive dynamic. She doesn't cry or beg. She forces a negotiation.
What does that initial negotiation look like, and how does it immediately shift the power?
Well, Reggie's demand is simple. You come back with me and my associate now, quietly. Bella's counter-demand immediately asserts her agency, and in return, I'll make this marriage as easy as possible for you. She forces a truce, immediately shifting the power from absolute control to this reluctant negotiation.
So she's saying,
I will comply on my terms, but you have lost the ability to control my will. Her agreement is conditional on her being treated with some measure of respect.
And Reggie's use of the princess nickname, it evolves alongside this shifting dynamic, doesn't it? Initially, it sounds mocking, an attempt at control, but it morphs into an acknowledgement of her inherent defiance and worth.
It's one of the most brilliant small strokes in the novel.
Sure.
Reggie initially uses it with a sneer, labeling her a spoiled brat who hates authority. It's dismissive. But as the relationship deepens, and he learns to respect her fighting spirit, the term takes on a reverence. By the time he confesses his love in the final climax, he uses it so tenderly. I love you, princess. I love you so fucking much.
Wow.
It confirms that he accepts her chaos as part of her royalty. The nickname evolves from a cage to a crown. It's the highest compliment he can pay her. You are demanding and dangerous, and you are mine.
Now let's tackle the central ethical discussion again. Consent, submission, and the past. The trauma paradox dictates that for Bella, submission with the Murphys must feel safe and protective, not humiliating.
We must be clear. The entire dark romance genre relies on the transition from initial forced proximity to what the text defines as enthusiastic consent, earned through relentless trust building.
Right.
Bella's past trauma means the stakes are incredibly high, so how can she embrace submission and sharing? The answer lies in the safety framework. The Murphys frame their dominance not around humiliation or breaking her spirit, but around protection and adoration.
It's the difference between being owned and being cherished, even within a D's framework. In her past, the framework was designed to break her. Here, it's designed to anchor her.
Exactly. When Reggie says, "Rule one, princess, I'm in charge," that control is welcomed precisely because she trusts he won't let her fall. She actively seeks out that controlled environment because her past was defined by dangerous, unpredictable freedom. The submission, paradoxically, makes her feel secure.
And the challenge of the twin bond introduces a massive hurdle to this earned consent, especially for Reggie.
It fundamentally threatens his possessiveness. His internal debate reveals the core conflict of the triad. I want her to myself, but once I see another man touch her, I'll never unsee it. The MFM dynamic is terrifying to him because it requires him to relinquish the absolute control he built his life upon.
So how does the narrative resolve that?
It resolves it by demonstrating that the shared dynamic Rowan, providing the emotional comfort, and Reggie providing the dominant structural stability, is the only way Bella can feel whole. The Murphys realize that trying to fully possess her means destroying their brotherhood, losing the alliance and ultimately losing Bella, who needs both of them.
Let's shift focus entirely to the external stakes. The King-Quinn alliance and the external threat of the preacher are not just backdrop. They are intrinsic to the Murphys' duty-driven psychology. This arranged marriage is the stability anchor for a huge criminal enterprise.
The political stakes are immense. Theo King is using Bella to secure London's influence with Declan Quinn's massive American operation.
Right.
The Murphys are not blood, so they feel an immense lifelong duty to the Quinns.
Right, they have to prove themselves.
Reggie emphasizes this duty. We ain't their blood, though. We will always have to prove ourselves. We owe them. The alliance hinges on Bella, tying her marriage directly to the war against the preacher, a terrifying rival organization involved in trafficking. For Reggie, securing Bella isn't just a personal matter. It's a non-negotiable professional mandate to protect the family that raised him.
And Bella proves she is worthy of the stakes, cementing her value as a king when she demands to be involved in the field. Her presence in the war against the preacher becomes a major plot point, specifically during the Phoenix trip.
The Phoenix trip is pivotal for her character validation. Hunter Sterling, the intimidating cowboy, is surprised she's there, but Bella's immediate assertion is firm. I'm here with them, not being babysat. I'm a king. I can handle it.
She's not decoration.
No. And the true dark validation comes in the scene where they torture the Crow to extract information about Madame Eve, who recruits girls for trafficking. Bella actively assists in the torture, using violence to release her own pent-up anger. She proves she is a doer, not a watcher.
This scene, where she actively participates in violence, is critical to the Murphys accepting her place in their world, isn't it? It shows she understands the cost of their lifestyle.
It absolutely validates her. The Murphys need a partner who understands that their HEA exists within a world of carnage. Bella's willingness to pick up a weapon and assist in extracting information shows them she is not fragile. She embraces the darkness, and that is what allows them to trust her with their future.
She doesn't try to change them.
She doesn't force them to be good. She joins them in the gray area, making their union politically viable and psychologically complete.
Moving into the relationship arc, the path to MFM is a slow, agonizing burn fueled by intense conflict, particularly Reggie's escalating jealousy. Every tiny interaction between Bella and Rowan becomes a chisel chipping away at Reggie's icy facade.
The escalation is so meticulously plotted. It's not one big event. It's a series of micro-betrayals of Reggie's control. Rowan wiping caramel from her chin, Rowan bringing her coffee, Rowan defending her in the bar fight. Each is an emotional intimacy that Reggie cannot replicate.
He just doesn't have the tools for it.
He doesn't. His jealousy is deeply rooted in his failure to connect on that level. He sees Rowan providing the emotional language Bella needs, a language Reggie believes he is permanently locked away.
And the turning point is his self-realization, which we mentioned before, but we need to underscore it. I'm not angry, but at myself for it not being me on my knees for you.
That internal monologue is Reggie's surrender. He realizes his anger isn't directed at Rowan or Bella, it's directed at his own emotional unavailability. He understands that his desire to dominate her stems from his fear of losing her, but he also realizes that true devotion requires vulnerability, not just control.
It's a huge shift.
This moment marks his transition from being a contractual partner to a devoted, albeit possessive, lover.
That emotional intensity is immediately challenged by external focused chaos, Lila's intervention, lying about pregnancy, triggering the huge physical fight between the twins.
Lila, a jilted former partner under the old Inferno Agreements, uses the one thing she knows, threatens their entire structure: the twin bond and the stability of the new relationship. The ensuing fight between Reggie and Rowan is explosive.
It's brutal.
They hit the ground hard, fighting over Bella, but more deeply, fighting over their identity and their shared history. They fight over who is breaking her or who doesn't know what love costs. The fight is necessary, though. It's the catharsis that clears the air, forcing them to articulate their unspoken feelings for Bella and move toward a unified pursuit. It proves that Bella is worth destroying their world for.
And crucially, the final power balance shift is formalized by Declan's verdict. He reveals that Theo allowed either twin to marry Bella, placing the ultimate choice entirely in Bella's hands. She is no longer a pawn.
This is a massive moment of narrative payoff. Bella realizes the alliance is secured regardless of which twin she chooses. She now holds the power of the queen. This realization drives her brilliant strategic move: the husband test and the decadence proposal. She refuses to be forced to choose one man when she knows, psychologically and emotionally, she needs both to feel whole. She turns their game, their coercion, their politics back on them, demanding they prove their worth not through violence but through vulnerability.
Okay, let's dedicate significant, exhaustive time to the husband test. It's the true emotional climax before the physical climax because it tests their deepest intuition and honesty about her.
The test is a masterclass in emotional manipulation, perfectly executed by Bella. It's designed to measure how well they truly know the traumatized, defiant woman beneath the princess facade.
Right, it's not about strength or power.
No, she starts with broad questions about their futures, but quickly moves to vulnerability.
Such as, what do I want most but will never admit out loud?
And Rowan, who's the emotional conduit, answers with the deepest insight. A future, not a fantasy, not survival, a real one. He understands her deep, concealed desire is for something normal, something safe, that her violent life has always denied her. He sees the fragility behind the menace.
Then she moves on to their relationship dynamics, testing their understanding of her defiance.
Right. She asks how they plan to incorporate their control and their protection into her life. They have to demonstrate that they see her not as a problem to be solved, but a partner to be protected.
The most agonizing question of all is, what would make me choose one of you? The answers reveal the exact nature of the MFM structure she requires.
Reggie's answer focuses on acceptance of her darkness. You'd pick the one who'd never ask you to change. He sees her need for acceptance of her violent, chaotic, and dominant nature. He knows if he asks her to become good, he loses her.
He accepts her as she is.
Fully. And Rowan's answer focuses on her deepest, oldest trauma, the fear of being caged. You'd pick the one who'd let you be free, even if it meant letting you go.
Oh, that's powerful.
Together, those answers represent everything she lacks and everything she needs. She needs Reggie's possessive framework to feel secure, and she needs Rowan's unconditional emotional freedom and light to prevent her from feeling trapped. Bella's conclusion validates the MFM solution. They don't give her the same things. Together, you make me whole. The choice isn't eliminated, it's elevated to an essential triad.
This deep emotional validation fuels the shattering physical climax. Lila's final stand in the church, holding Father Byrne hostage, attempting to force Bella to choose which twin dies. This is the definitive test of the twins' selfless love.
It is the moment the HEA is earned in blood. Lila, confirmed to be a recruit of Madame Eve, forces the choice. Who survives? And the twins immediately, without hesitation, volunteer to sacrifice themselves for Bella and, more importantly, for each other.
There's no hesitation.
None. Reggie states, you can and you will take her. Rowan responds instantly, I'm not letting you do this, brother. That twin sacrifice proves their love is selfless and complete. They prioritize Bella's survival and their brotherhood over their own lives.
And Reggie's raw final confession before the shot is fired is the emotional payoff the reader has been waiting for the entire book. I love you, princess. I love you so fucking much.
The frozen fortress it dissolves.
It's the highest moment of vulnerability in the narrative. He gives her his whole heart in what he believes is his final breath, shattering his control mechanism for good. This confession validates Bella's entire fight. She wanted the real man beneath the ice, and she got him, purely and truthfully.
It's the proof.
It proves that the coercion and the darkness led to a genuine, unconditional, and vulnerable emotional connection.
The aftermath is so crucial for Bella's healing, though. Rowan is grazed while protecting her, but the emotional cost lands squarely on Bella, forcing her to confront her past trauma of seeing her father shot and her present fear of losing her home again.
The scene is meticulously crafted to be a trigger for her. She freezes, seeing the blood, reliving the original trauma, but this time she has two men anchoring her.
She's not alone. She's not alone. Rowan's presence, holding her close, and Reggie's determination to be okay, reminds her she didn't lose her home. She confesses to Rowan, you two are my home, and I can't lose my home again. The violence of the climax is what secures the stability of their three-way relationship, proving that they will face the chaos together.
Let's move to intimacy, steam, and the MFM resolution. We need to analyze the spectrum of physical intimacy offered by each brother, which perfectly mirrors their emotional roles.
Reggie's intimacy is dominance, intensity, and control. It tests limits and requires submission, but within that submission, she finds safety. He demands sir and uses princess. The car kiss is the defining moment of his style. Next time, Bella, you don't get to move unless I move you.
It's possessive.
His physical affection is possessive, demanding submission as a form of trust and ownership, which she welcomes because she knows he won't misuse it.
Rowan, conversely, is the emotional healer in their sexual dynamic.
Rowan offers affection, emotional focus, and acts of service. He cleans her injury, makes her coffee, and their non-sexual connection, like the water exchange in the bookstore, where he gently skids water into her mouth after she says she's thirsty, is an act of profound, tender intimacy. When he does engage sexually, it's often in the context of reassurance or shared vulnerability, validating her emotional needs first.
The MFM scenes are the necessary culmination, then. They are explicitly centered on Bella's pleasure and emotional acceptance, completing her journey from victim to desired partner.
The physical expression reinforces the whole concept. Bella wants to feel full, loved, cherished, worshipped. The dynamics are structured to ensure she feels absolute agency and focus. The fact that she is the one who suggests the Eiffel Tower fantasy in Paris highlights her complete comfort and power within the dynamic.
Right.
It's not about them performing for each other. It's about both of them working together to transform the act of sharing from a source of humiliation into a source of supreme validation and love.
That deep dive into the taboo of sharing as a path to healing warrants a final extension. The Murphys fundamentally overturn Bella's trauma.
This is the genre's ethical justification. Her past sharing was forced, humiliating, and focused on her ex's power trip. With the Murphys, the dynamic is consensual, protective, and focused entirely on her emotional and physical fulfillment.
They put her first.
They shift the focus entirely onto her needs. The definition of MFM here is crucial. Reggie and Rowan are not interchangeable, and that's why they work. She needs Reggie's dominant framework to feel secure, and she needs Rowan's emotional transparency to feel loved. Without both components, she would remain fractured.
Wrapping up with the final verdict and emotional catharsis, politically, the resolution confirms Bella's standing.
Theo King, Bella's brother, ultimately concedes that the King-Murphy alliance is secured, wedding or not. This is a vital detail. It shows Bella's relationship has evolved beyond politics. Her marriage becomes about love, not mere function.
It's
real. And the non-traditional proposal in Paris, where the twins jointly ask her to marry us both, seals the MFM commitment.
And the unconventional marriage itself, with Father Byrne officiating despite all the chaos, highlights that their bond is written in blood and faith, transcending mere legal contracts.
It solidifies their love as legitimate within the context of their violent world. They wear matching rings. Bella receives an engagement ring from both. Rowan a pink diamond, Reggie a black ring, demonstrating the unique, binding nature of their commitment to the triad. It is an institution of their own making.
Now let's bring it home. Why is this genre so incredibly popular, and what catharsis does dark romance provide to the learner who is curious about high emotional stakes?
Well, I think the primary appeal is the profound emotional catharsis derived from watching cold, broken anti-heroes find complete redemption and vulnerability. Reggie, the man who said he couldn't love, and Rowan, the man who feared being lost in his twin shadow, are made whole by Bella. She is their chaos, but she is also their home and their grounding force.
And for Bella,
Bella's journey, conversely, offers validation for complexity in female protagonists. She is not forced to become good, passive, or domesticated to be loved. She's loved because of her darkness, her violence, and her defiance.
it's the ultimate fantasy. Unconditional love surviving the darkest human experience. She gets to be the menace, the princess, the fighter, the survivor, and she is loved more for all those conflicting parts.
Precisely. It's an exploration of the forbidden reframed through the lens of emotional necessity. The HEA feels fiercely earned because the characters have broken down their most ingrained traumatic barriers. Reggie's control, Rowan's insecurity, and Bella's fear of sharing to achieve it.
So what's the takeaway?
It provides the reader with the powerful realization that even the most damaged, morally gray individuals deserve and can achieve radical, fulfilling love, even if that love looks unconventional to the outside world.
That is a tremendously comprehensive analysis of the journey from coercion to commitment. But as you highlighted, the sources themselves tease future conflict.
They do. We are left with a final provocative thought. The novel ends, but the danger has not. The conflict with the preacher and Madame Eve is explicitly unresolved, and we are introduced to key figures for future novels, Mikhail Volkov and Hunter Sterling.
So the question for us.
The question for you, the reader, is, what is the emotional cost of maintaining this unconventional HEA when the protagonists are inherently magnets for chaos? Their bond is secure, their love is earned, but the violence of the mafia world will continue to follow them. How will their whole relationship, this perfect balance of three people, handle the inevitable future sacrifices demanded by the life they lead? That's the true ongoing cost of their unconventional forever.
A deeply satisfying and exhaustive dive into Indulge. Beneath the Blaze. Thank you for guiding us through this high-stakes material.